Bonjour tout le monde. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back once again to the EUROCUP-3 2026 Championship season opener here at Le Castellet on the Circuit pour Ricard, the former home of the French Grand Prix. And plenty more motorsport comes here besides in the 2026 season. Yesterday, we've already had a very hectic race one and sprint race. James Zigotzi claiming his first win of the 2026 season and only Pallou's second win ever. Who was the winner of their first? That man James Zigotzi again. Then in the sprint race, Christopher Elfagali became the 20th driver to win a race in EuroCup-3 and gave Drivex their first victory. 52 races of trying, they managed to get the job done in yesterday's sprint race. Today, it could be a very different result indeed, as we've got an all-MP Motorsport front row of the grid, with Gianmarco Pradelle of Australia claiming the outfit's 19th career pole position. And certainly for the Australian, it's a chance for a better start to the day than he had yesterday. And there's going to be a lot of opportunity for his rivals to go for the battle. Igozzi, Lammers, Alazari and Powell all still in the mix, there or thereabouts. I'm Jake Sanson in the commentary box. Down in the pit lane, getting ready for it to open, is Alex Garcia, who's obviously got all the noise and all of the banter from post-race 2 yesterday. Hello, buddy. How are things this fine morning?
Bonjour, Jake, and very good morning from here in Port Ricard. And as you can see, we changed our setting a little bit. It's a bit colder, of course. It's much earlier than the races yesterday, which means that for these teams and for these drivers, the conditions are completely unrelated to what we saw in race one and sprint race. So a different story, a different beast to tame here in Le Castellet.
So we're going to have a very interesting challenge in this second race of the weekend. Race 2 should see the MP Motorsport boys having a very interesting dice into that first corner, particularly when both Gianmarco Pradelle and Ian Eichmans are going to be keen to put a win on the board. But after what we saw from James Zigotzi yesterday, fighting back from P10 to get to the podium, he's only starting third for this one, and he's got the full half hour. Do we think that he might be able to grab a second victory out of 3 races?
I mean, he's in one of the best positions to try it, isn't it? We know that he's been feeling very comfortable this weekend, but on the other hand, he has scored a lot of points, so it might be smart not to take too many risks. But then again, Jake, what are drivers if not natural-born risk takers? And they take risks much better than anybody else on the track. So he's definitely a candidate for today. Imagine how big that would be for his chances for his start of the 2026 season if he managed to take that second win in as many main races, let's say. So he's definitely a challenger, but I have to say that MP Motorsport did find something clearly between quality 1 and quality 2. So they are competitive, they have good starting positions. I talked to some MP guys just before the race, and they were pretty confident that there might be something to celebrate later on in this race.
It's a huge moment for Palou Motorsport going into this race 2, because this is actually, I was crunching the numbers last night, this is the first time in EuroCup-3 history that a team has led the standings other than either MP or Campos. So this is obviously a great dawn for the Palou Motorsport team, who've been working tirelessly since their debut back in 2023 to get competitive. But with James Zigotzi on board, they have really found that winning formula. So this is clearly a chance for MP Motorsport or Griffin called by Campos to fight back, and MP certainly look well poised to do that with Pradelle, Eichmans and Lammers all in the top 4. But it's also worth pointing out, I almost missed this yesterday under the radar, this is Hitech's first ever weekend in EuroCup-3. That sounds really weird because of course they were in the Spanish Winter Championship at the beginning of the year, but not in the full-scale championship until this weekend. And we actually had fastest laps from both Keanu Alazari and Stefan Bostenjev. That means that Hitech have scored 100% success rate for fastest laps. Could they be a factor today if Alazari gets a good start?
Hitech are absolutely challengers this season in any and every weekend. We've seen them in the Spanish Winter Championship, as you said, Jake. It feels very strange to consider them rookies or newcomers, which they technically are. But anybody who knows anything about junior series, they know that Hitech has always been a very strong team. And arriving here in this season, we knew that they were going to be a factor. We knew it before the Spanish Winter Championship. We know it even more after that. Of course, Keanu Alazari was the Spanish Winter Championship winner. So he could have something to say. And after the, frankly, very hard Saturday for him, he will be very hungry to get a very good result today to finish the weekend on a high, which is something that any championship challenger needs to be doing to keep that momentum going. And in these championships, keeping that momentum is crucial, because at the end of the day, there's always a few weeks between rounds, and having that good feeling to go home with is always very, very important to keep that motivation inside the team, to keep yourself as a driver in a good mental state, let's say, to challenge for the next weekend. So I do think that he's going to have something to say today.
Well, we noticed that some of you watching along on the live stream yesterday were actually asking after our safety car, what is the car? What is this new machine that's at the front of the pack? Well, this is brand new for the 2026 season with the Epic Championships. So for those of you who are not yet in the know, let's tell you a little bit about the car that's going to be heading the pack a few times over the course of this year.
First of all, let me say that for me it was really emotional to see the car being the safety car. It was many years that we thought to be safety car somewhere. It was fantastic to start here with Epic to support the series. And personally, for me, it was really almost moving when I saw the car there in front of all the other single-seater cars. It was really, really a big emotion for me and for the company as well. The tracks and the circuits around the world are our normal environment for Dallara, as well as for the Dallara Stradale, because the Stradale was to be used on road. And let me say that for me it's one of the funniest cars to be driven on road, but it's the perfect environment is the tracks. With the same car that you have fun on road, you can go on track and you can enjoy a track day, you can enjoy the track experience. So this is our natural environment. I would say that the briefing was basically what I just told you. So the fact that the driving style would be like this, just after a few laps of, let's say, test, he was immediately confident because he's also an expert of this kind of driving style. Let me say that the most important aspect to me of the Stradale is the right combination of three numbers. The aerodynamics, the top downforce, the weight of the car at the right level of power of the engine. Because it's not a car that is designed around the power from the engine concept, but it's designed to have the perfect match between these three numbers. The power, the weight and the downforce. And just let me say, the downforce we produce at top speed is the same kilograms as the weight of the car. So we can say that you are 1-to-1 on this ratio, and at the same level, at the right level of power with this weight. So in some principle also it's important to remark that in this kind of series, single-seater open wheel, the spirit of this car is the same. To exploit the lightness with a lot of downforce, and also the driving style of this car is really, really comparable to a single-seater experience. So in this sense, I see also really, really coherent to be here, and this is something that I really love with this car.
Great to hear from Daniele Garnaccia, the lead program manager of the Dallara Stradale. It's incredible to think that car was launched all the way back in 2017. It's had 10 years of life already. But this is not a rushed project from the guys at Dallara. You've got to remember that the boys at Varano de Melagari have been around since 1972. They've got 50 years worth of engineering prowess. They've pretty much done everything there is to do in motorsport. They've built Indy cars. They've been instrumental in the Haas F1 cars design. The KTM Crossbow is their handiwork, as is the motorsport variations of the Lamborghini Huracan. They are responsible for the FIA Formula 2, Formula 3, Super Formula, and of course the EUROCUP-3 cars. And of course they were instrumental in the preparation of the Paralympic handbikes of the late, great Alessandro Zanardi. Very, very sad that we lost him over the course of May the 1st, a day that was already very poignant for motorsport fans, as the day back in 1994 we lost Ayrton Senna, and now we have also lost Alessandro Zanardi, a very important member of the Dallara family. But of course he would be watching on and enjoying the motorsport spectacle that Dallara are giving us. They're an immense company, Dallara. They built chassis for 4 of the current FIA World Endurance Championship manufacturers, for Cadillac, for BMW, Ferrari, and the new McLaren that's going to be launched next year. And they also built chassis for the first generation of Formula E cars, so their engineering prowess cannot be denied, and it is wonderful to see the Dallara Stradale, which has always been one of my favourite specialist road cars, to actually hit the showrooms, to now be here as a safety car. It's going to be fascinating to see what the race gives us a little bit later on. Back to today's action, Alex. Pradel, Eichmanns, Igozzi, Lammers. That's a very aggressive top 4, with Alazari there in P5. We've got Tarnvanitschkel and Powell just on the outskirts, with Santino and Panetta doing a good job. Straven and Fiorentino in the top 10 as well. There are a lot of unknown factors going into this one. A lot of overtaking could well be on the way.
Exactly, Jake. And to be honest, when we see what the starting order is for today, one can only be excited about this. We know, of course, that we have plenty of competitive drivers. We know that we have quite a few candidates that could have something special to do and to say here in Paul Ricard. But honestly, after what we saw yesterday, I have to say that I don't dare to do many predictions. We have seen surprises happen, especially in a track like Paul Ricard, where things happen, where there's quite a few straights, and with this machine, this car, this 326, that is a very good racing car. And when I say racing car, I do not just mean a car that races, but a car made for racing wheel to wheel. We could see all sorts of fights, and we saw them yesterday. We saw them at the front of the field, we saw them in the midfield, we saw them at the back. So plenty of action, that's for sure. Now, again, what I can say, and you can see it, we have one of the MP cars here with René Lammers. I have ahead of me Ian Eichmanns. I have another car in pole position, of course, Gianmarco Pradel. So I do have to say that MP Motorsport seems to be the big favorite for today's race, if nothing else because they have 3 cars in the top 4, and that from a mathematical point of view gives them the edge. Let's see, because races are about mathematics, but not just about that.
Well, no, indeed, but if all 3 drivers in the top 4 from MP Motorsport make it to the podium, they will have secured 75 podiums in the entire history of EuroCup-3, which is quite an incredible statistic, and it would put them ahead of anybody else. So that's something that obviously, if MP lock out the podium today, they'll get to the big 75 mark, almost certain to reach that before the end of the season. But let's talk about the narrative of this particular race. The 3-minute board's gone up. It's very early in the morning compared to what we're used to racing, thanks to the European Le Mans schedule. It's 14 degrees Celsius air temperature. That means the track surface is only 21 degrees. That's a staggering difference compared to what we had for race 1 or even the sprint race. So things are going to be much cooler. Obviously, the tyres will perform better, but will the grip be harder to find in the early stages?
It will absolutely be harder to find, and we have to recall that just as yesterday race 1 and sprint race were later on during the day, qualifying in Friday was also at a different time. So we would have to go and look at the free practice sessions early in the morning on Friday to see the last time that these cars and these drivers were running in this kind of condition. Now, that means that they have experience, they do have information on that, but it is old information, because whatever they found throughout the sessions is a little bit different from what they have been using in the most competitive times in qualifying in the races. Now this is going to throw a bit of a spanner in the works for them, and you know this, Jake, very well. Teams will have had to adapt on the fly. These teams and these drivers are very good at doing just that. But that means that whatever we saw in qualifying, whatever we saw in the races, is not necessarily what should happen here. That means we can have still some surprises. And to me, that's what motorsport is about. Just watching on, seeing these guys and girls on track, and seeing who gets to surprise us and do something unexpected, something special, which is all EuroCup-3 tends to be about, really.
Certainly very true. I mean, we had our 20th different race winner in EuroCup-3 yesterday in Christopher Elfagali. There's a very strong chance we may end up with winner number 21. We've got Pradel, Eichmanns, Lammers, Alazari, Panetta and Alex Powell in that top 10. Only Tarnvinichkul and Igotzi are previous race winners in the EuroCup-3 main championship in the top 10. So it's definitely going to be an interesting one. But Igotzi has such great form around here. And Palou have come into this 2026 season having found an edge. The task really for MP and Griffincourt is to try and catch up to them.
There's something special about the relationship between James Igotzi and Palou Motorsports, isn't it? Yes, Palou have been improving. That's without a trace of a doubt a story that we have seen developing over the last few years. But James Igotzi himself, he seems to be hitting his stride so well. He's confident. He's calm. He's collected. When you talk to him, you see a driver who knows that he's up there, and that shows the relationship between driver and team, and I don't just mean in personal terms, but also in competitive terms. It's just working. And when you see a driver in that kind of condition, you know that you have something special. If we add to that the usual suspects from MP, the usual suspects from Griffincourt Campos Racing, and also, of course, High-Tech, who have joined the fray to do something special, we have, at the very least, 4 different teams who could be fighting for the title. That is something that we have never seen in EuroCup-3, and I'm just so excited for the 2026 season.
Me too, Alex. Thank you very much indeed. We'll get back to you over the course of the race as and when we need to. We're getting ourselves ready for the start of the 3rd race of the season, but it is officially race 2 after race 1 and the sprint race yesterday. 30 minutes back on the clock, plus the additional lap, and it's going to be Gianmarco Pradell and Ian Eichmans on the front row of the starting grid. There we go. It's an all-MP front row. Pradell and Eichmans. Then it is James Igotzi, the race winner yesterday in race 1. René Lammers, rookie winner in race 1 yesterday on row 2 alongside him. Then Chiara Malazzari, the Spanish Winter Championship champion from Santino Panetta. And then it is Enzo Tarnvinichkul and Alex Powell, the Thai versus the American. Rounding out the top 10, Thomas Strauven from Belgium and the Brazilian Filippo Fiorentino. Then we've got the High-Tech boys, Stefan Bostenjev and Gino Trapper, helping High-Tech in their first ever race weekend in EuroCup-3. Row 7, it is Kasper Stucker alongside the 20th winner in EuroCup-3, Chris Elfagali for Lebanon. Patrick Hosenroder, not at the back this time, but in P15, alongside the Brazilian Heitor de Lagnol, then Luca Vizzarono, and yesterday the birthday boy, Alcy Feldman. Today, he's going to want a lot more than he got. Andrei Petrovic alongside the British driver Bart Harrison to round out the top 20. Next up, it's Linus Lundqvist alongside Lorenzo Campos, the Angolan, the double R teammate to the Swede. Then Andre Rodriguez and Ryan Caretti, the 2 new boys at GRS on row 12. Behind them, it's going to be a big charge from Eduard Borgna and Stylianos Kolovos, the Drivex drivers. Row 14 of the grid, it's Bianca Bustamante in the Palou alongside Renzo Barboy in the Thibaut Courtois racing car. Then it is his teammate Benjamin Beckley, and at the back of the field, the Frenchman Raphael Parade. Technical problems for Raphael Parade in the second qualifying session kept him to the back in much the same way that we saw from Patrick Hosenroder. But it is going to be a fascinating challenge. I was doing some number crunching last night to try and see what the race is like in between MP and Campos over the years. MP Motorsport have 22 race victories since the start of the championship in 2023. Campos, if you combine them with the Griffincourt outfit, have 25. MP has 19 pole positions, Campos teams have 28. Fastest laps, it's much closer. MP have 22, Campos have 24. In terms of podiums, MP are actually doing better overall, 72 podiums compared to Campos on 67. They both, of course, have 53 starts going into this race now. And in terms of the points scored, well, MP has only managed to score 21 points less than Campos over the last 4 seasons. That's how close the battle is between those 2 teams. But Palou are proving to be the 3rd squad in the factor. And with High-Tech coming in, we all know how prolifically brilliant High-Tech have been. They've already got a pole position. They've already got 2 fastest laps. Now they need podium finishes and a win. This could be their chance to do so, with Alazzari and Panetta in the top 6. But MP have 3 cars in the top 4, and James Igotzi, the championship leader, 3rd on the starting grid. So many unknown factors coming into this one, and it's going to be fascinating to see how this much cooler, much colder race than yesterday will play out. We get the green flag at the back of the field. Gianmarco Pradell on the front row of the grid alongside his teammate Ian Eichmans. For the last time this weekend, let's race at Paul Ricard. A good start, but a very slow one from Ian Eichmans by the look of it. as the drivers work their way through. Here comes James Zigotzi. He's going to draw level. He's going to take the lead around the outside. James Zigotzi with the confidence throws the below round the outside and takes the lead. James Zigotzi breaks through from the second row, and the championship leader hits the front. He is determined. He's not going to lose any race. He doesn't have to. Al-Azhari getting a great start as well, up at the third position in the high-tech, and it's 3 wide into the chicane. There's contact. It was always going to be at least 1 or 2 cars getting spat out when you go 3 wide into the chicane. It's the Trivex that gets caught out and spun sideways. That's Filippo Fiorentino, the Brazilian. So Igotzi leads the way, then Pradel, Al-Azhari, Lammers, Powell, Eichmanns, Tarvanitschgul, and then, Tarvanitschgul's dropped back. So the Griffin Corps is down to P12 now. The starting procedure is going to be investigated after the session, but Gianmarco Pradel wants to take on James Zigotzi immediately, and so they go down the Mistral straight with the Australian immediately hunting down the American. Yellow flags in the background, and it's up at turn 5, so it's clearly at the hairpin we've just gone through. Al-Azhari third position in front of Lammers, then Powell, Eichmanns, Stucker, Panetta. A couple of drivers trying to take avoiding action off the chicane. El Fagali's up to 9th place. Fantastic start for yesterday's winner as Pradel goes side by side with Igotzi. Pradel's going to try and make his bid for the lead, and he's not quite made it. Igotzi holds on to his position. Gianmarco Pradel tries again, but he goes out wide. Safety car. Well, that's the reason why. Unfortunately, it's Lorenzo Campos, the Angolan, who has stopped out on the circuit in the second sector. That's got to be at turn 5. So, disappointment then on the first lap, but it is James Igotzi that takes the lead after a sensational start, and that's why we're under safety car. So, Lorenzo Campos in the R racing machine. R, of course, stands for Raikkonen Robertson Racing, a team that goes back quite a long way in British motorsport, and now they are here in the fantastic arena of EUROCUP-3. Very unfortunate that we now end up with the safety car, although it does give us a chance to see the Dallara Stradale. Not that that's going to give any comfort to Lorenzo Campos. Let's look again at the start, and there's no start at all almost for Eichmanns, so that's what gives Igotzi the fantastic launch forward. A couple of drivers struggling to get away, but watch Igotzi. He's going to pop out from behind Pradel. He's got full of confidence in that first turn. He's just absolutely adamant, I'm not going to lose this lead. He gets it round the outside. That's brave from James Igotzi. That's full of confidence for the American. He really put on a spectacular display there to continue in fantastic fashion. A couple of hops and skips over the curbs. We saw Filippo Fiorentino spinning around on that first lap as well. So, very difficult situation for a couple of the drivers. Here's where they went 3 wide, and there's Filippo Fiorentino getting caught out in the melee. Never easy when you've got a situation like that. And, of course, Lorenzo Campos in the Raikkonen Robertson racing car is the one that got spat out to the scenery. There he is getting out of the car, so the Angolan is okay. Alex Garcia is down in pit lane. Obviously, a few shenanigans there on the first lap. What can you tell us about the situation?
Quite a few shenanigans, as you say, Jake, on the first lap of the race. We saw a few cars going into the pit lane. We saw just now Enzo Tarvanitschgul just leaving the pit lane after having to stop. Unfortunate start for some of these drivers. I also wanted to mention, Jake, I didn't have time to do it before. It is sunny, but I just wanted to make a small bit of information, give it to you, which is that we do have potential rain in the horizon. We have around there the clouds that didn't look too nice. The current forecast says that we could have rain within 40 to 50 minutes. I'm not expecting it to come during the race, but I feel compelled to at least make it known. If we see rain towards the end of the race, this is something that we have heard about.
And I have been to the Paul Ricard circuit many times before, and it's one of those weird circuits where it can be raining on one part of the circuit and be completely bone dry on another. So that could be a real eye-opener for the drivers if that does occur before the end of racing. And the weather forecast isn't particularly reliable in that part of the world. It's right at the foot of the French Riviera, so the weather patterns there can be a bit variable, so it's worth picking up on. Now, the drivers that really benefited from that start, James Zigotzi, spectacular launch to get into the lead. Alizari fresh out of the blocks and getting into third place. That puts the high-tech team on course for their first podium in their first weekend. But also, I would keep a note on Alex Powell making a decent start there to be right behind René Lammers. He seems to be warming himself up to a bit of a crescendo as well. Chris Alfagali making a good start. Eichmann's getting a poor one. And watch out for the number 2 Technicar. Kasper Stucker has crept himself into 7th position there after an almighty start off the grid. So there's quite a few teams here that are looking for a strong result.
I was talking to people from Technica yesterday, you know, because they have been quietly confident going into the season, and they're talking about how they are making a very big effort to try and catch up to the guys in front. Doesn't mean the other teams are not doing it, but they are making a special effort for it, and they know that they are almost there. They're aware they're not there. They know that they shouldn't be able to fight with the let's say high-techs of the world, MPs, Griffin Cause and such, but they know that their position, they were telling me yesterday, we are around 7th to 12th, 13th place. That is our target for the weekend. We could score some points tomorrow. They were quite confident about that. And, you know, Kasper Stuka has had a good start. So that's good news, because it means, once again, I always say this, the more teams we have near the top, the better.
So it could be fascinating to see what happens on this restart, but it's very difficult to predict because we've got 4 of the top 5 teams now running up in the top 5. MP had a fantastic position and it's all suddenly fallen apart. The chance of a victory now still really rests with Gianmarco Pradel, unless René Lammers can do something bombastic on the restart. The McMarshall's on your screen just moving the double R, the Raikkonen Robertson car off the circuit. Joining the championship for the first time, of course, not a great start. Safety car in this lap, though, so that does really help us because it means we're going to get a lot more track time. And Igotzi has actually put a lot of daylight between himself and Gianmarco Pradel. They've dropped a long way back. I wonder if Pradel's got a problem here. Pradel has got a problem. Pradel's slowing. 2nd position, and Pradel is breaking down behind the safety car, Alex.
Well, I'm just seeing it on the screen just next to us. That is of course not what we expected from this race, but it shows just how unexpected things can be sometimes in racing. It is very unfortunate for Gianmarco Pradel, who was very, very excited, very looking forward to this first big opportunity of the year. Unfortunate, that's for sure. Let's see if the safety car is not going to stay for longer. Hopefully not. Hopefully we do have the result here, but as you know, when there's any kind of technical gremlins on the track, sometimes the safety car needs to stay a little bit longer.
Yeah, it looks like it is going to stay out longer, Alex. Unfortunately, the safety car in this lap call has just been rescinded, and that is so that they can clear Gianmarco Pradel's car behind that Marshall post. That is disastrous for MP Motorsport. They were looking on course for a win going into this one with 3 cars in the top 4. Now all they've got left really are Lammers and Eichmann's. Eichmann's having a poor start. Lammers has got to try and take on the might of Igotzi versus Alizari. But with Pradel out of the way, Alex, we've got arguably 2 of the most aggressive and fantastic, no-holds-barred, no-nonsense racers out there. James Igotzi versus Chiano Alizari for race 2. This could be a sneak preview of the championship battle for the rest of 2026.
We were in fact discussing this with some of the teams here watching from LMS, and you know, everyone in racing, they watch each other, they watch all the series, they know who's there, and we were just discussing, oh, it's looking very spicy for this season, potentially between James Igotzi and Chiano Alizari, and we were thinking that we might see a duel today if there was a chance for it. Now that seems like it's going to be the case, and let's not forget, these 2 drivers know each other very well. They have been teammates in karting, and they are very good friends. So that gives an edge to that duel, and it makes it perhaps even more exciting than it would be otherwise.
I'll tell you who's going to be an interested spectator there in the paddock, and that is our first ever EuroCup-3 champion, Esteban Masson. He's actually racing in European Le Mans Series these days, so ironic that Esteban, our most successful race winner in EuroCup-3 history, is actually in the paddock this weekend, now as a sports car driver, so great to see him back in the paddock in one way or another. We've actually got Renzo Barboy has parked his car in the pits to retire as well for the Thibaut Courtois racing team, and right down at the back of the field field. We've got Stefan Bostenjev, P25, Enzo Tarvanichkul down in P26, and Thomas Strauven down in P27, all with damage that they've had to come into the pits to repair. So that's very unfortunate for them. Safety car in this lap, Alex, so we'll get ourselves ready for the restart.
Finally now restarting the race, so Jake, up to you, crack on.
Gracias, mi amigo. So James Igozzi, Chiara Malazzari and René Lammers, the top three. Alex Powell, Ian Eichmans and Kasper Stuker. Then Santino Panetta, Chris Elfagali, Gino Trappa, and the final point is currently going to Heiter de Laniol in front of Patrick Hosenroder, Luca Vizzarono and Andrei Petrovic. Then Bart Harrison, Alce Feldman, Linus Lundqvist, Ryan Caretti, Rafael Parad, Andre Rodriguez and Bianca Bustamante. Then Benjamin Beckley, Eduard Borgna, Filippo Fiorentino, Stylianos Kolovos, and then Bostenjev, Tarvanichkul and Strauven. No other runners because we've lost Gianmarco Pradel under safety car. Renzo Barboy pitted at the end of the first lap for damage, and Lorenzo Campos was out on the first lap with damage. So with just under 20 minutes left of the race, we are going to get back under starters orders, and Igozzi has bit the bullet, and Chiara Malazzari is going to have to go with him. Now we're in for a showdown. Igozzi, the championship leader, versus Chiara Malazzari, the Spanish winner champion, as we go green, 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 green once again here at Paul Ricard. Down to the first corner, it's going to be a sensational battle. Here we go to the first corner already. This is a nice little battle as well between de Laniol and Hosenroder. Hosenroder trying to get past the Brazilian into turn one. He has to wait and bide his time because he almost lost out to Luca Vizzarono in the Thibaut Courtois car. Lock up there from Fiorentino, who's battling away with his Drivex teammate Eduard Borgna. But out in front, it is Igozzi, Alazzari and René Lammers. Then Alex Powell in the Griffin Corps. 4 different teams now in the top 4 places. So it really is going to be a nail-biter. Patrick Hosenroder fancying his chances to move up, as is Gino Trappa, trying to get past Chris Elfagali, who won the sprint race yesterday. A couple of drivers running wide. The cooler track temperatures definitely making things trickier. Since the start of the race, the track temperature has already gone up 4 degrees. So it is only going to get hotter, the circuit. So Igozzi definitely has pressure from Alazzari. Just watch at the end of the Mistral straight coming up, because Alazzari is going to be trying to make a move on Igozzi, as up the inside there goes the hard-charging Alce Feldman Neto, the Lightning McQueen of EuroCup-3, trying to work his way forward. Now watch for the high-tech. He's going to be hustling James Igozzi through this flat-out right-hander and trying to pop up on the inside. Igozzi will know he's there. He's going to force him to the far side. Alazzari trying to cut it round the outside. He's got grip. Has he got potential to go right round the outside of Igozzi? No way is he going to pull that off. He hops and skips over the curbs and then comes back in alongside James Igozzi. He's going to turn this into an overtake. Igozzi round the outside. He runs onto the curb as well. And these two go wheel to wheel for 4 corners straight. Now it's going to be Alazzari hanging out, and he's through. The high-tech takes the lead from the below. Keanu Alazzari gets in front of James Igozzi. That is motorsport. Wheel to wheel. No nonsense. Incredible how they ran side by side there for 4 corners straight. And that's another of the double R's in trouble. That's Linus Lundqvist. So Lundqvist is at it now. Here's what happened. 2 corners side by side. Alazzari goes in the air, lands it, gets back on the throttle, and then catches it and turns it into an overtake. My goodness me. So great racing all the way down the field. GRS versus Fiorentino. So that is a hard-charging challenge now from Andre Rodriguez, the American from Colorado, trying to work his way through. But Keanu Alazzari is on course now for his first victory of the main season. He won the Spanish Winter Championship of EuroCup-3 after a fantastic campaign that took in Portimao, Aragon and Jarama. But here at Paul Ricard, he now has a fantastic chance to win High-Tech's first race in their first weekend of the main championship. Down the Mistral straight, up to the chicane that breaks it up. Igozzi's not given up on the victory yet. Lammers and Powell getting close together as well. And Eichmans, Stuka, Panetta, Elfagali, Trappa and de Laniol. We're watching Luca Vizzarono, the Romanian. He's trying to shake off the intentions of Andrei Petrovic in the Technicar. The Serbian making his first appearance of the season in Eurocar. Here comes Igozzi, back up the inside. He retakes the lead. Fantastic duel between these two. I said they were going to be wheel to wheel all the way, and Igozzi has retaken the lead from Keanu Alazzari, who runs wide in the high-tech. He's got to get that back to the radius, which he does. James Igozzi takes back the lead. Fabulous work from the man from Miami. So the Florida Flyer into the lead once again for Palou. But Keanu Alazzari will be fighting back This is an irresistible squabble between the two for the lead. They could be swapping it all the way through this race. Al-Azhari goes for it in the final turn. Oh my goodness, how tight is this going to get between the two leading drivers? Al-Azhari now has another chance as Egozzi is trying to shake him off like an angry wasp at a picnic. Back off! Keanu Al-Azhari going for it again. Egozzi's going to send him back to the racing line, and Al-Azhari will dive for the inside line again! Monstrous scrapping between these two. Egozzi cuts back to the inside radius. Now Al-Azhari can get the undercut, but Egozzi is going to be strong on acceleration. And watch out, boys. René Lammers is joining in the fun. Right, left, down to the hairpin for 5. Al-Azhari fancies it, but he's not going to get there. But Alex Powell is going to have a look at Lammers. It's open season, boys. Wonderful racing at Paul Ricard. Don't you just love the Dallara 326 as Lammers drifts right off the road in front of Powell and Eichmanns, manages to catch it back. So, we'll continue on this duel down the Mistral Straight. Egozzi still in front of Al-Azhari. Incident involving cars 22 and 44 on turn 1 is noted. That's Petrovic and Ryan Caretti. Meanwhile, Powell is going for it. Up on the inside line of Lammers. He's going to hold it. He's there. Wonderful. Alex Powell wrestling his way into 3rd position in the Griffith Corps. Isn't it amazing? You wait years for racing drivers from Miami, and then we get 2. Alex Powell dueling for 3rd position, and Eichmanns now gets through on his teammate Lammers. Stunning stuff. Well, excellent racing at the moment. Egozzi and Al-Azhari battling for the victory. Powell, Eichmanns and Lammers all having a great squabble, and that's Kasper Stucker battling with Santino Panetta. Panetta gets through into P6. There's a gap on the inside line left open for El Fagali, and there's a little bit of a nudge. Wide goes Kasper Stucker. Stucker drifts off the road. So too does the high-tech. That was pretty close in there for Gino Trapper. But the battle up front, very intense indeed as we race wheel to wheel. Stucker going side by side with Chris El Fagali, who drifts wide off the road. Many drivers doing that, of course, in this race. Don't forget that the first move Keanu Al-Azhari made on James Egozzi, he drifted off the road and then converted it into an overtake. So we still don't know if that's going to be counted as an illegal move or a legal move, or whether that's going to be investigated at all, because of course Egozzi did get him back again. So they may well decide, well, it's all fair in love and war. Certainly at the moment, Keanu Al-Azhari trying to fight his way back onto the toe of James Egozzi once more. So the high-tech battle versus the Palou definitely going to intensify again. We've still got 13 minutes left of this race, give or take. So it will be fascinating. Meanwhile, we've got a decent battle further back. That's El Fagali trying to shake off the Australian Patrick Hosenroder. Lammers hasn't given up on his design for 3rd position, but he's got to watch his teammate Ian Eichmanns attack Alex Powell for the moment. Al-Azhari getting close to Egozzi again. And here comes the bid up the inside from Petrovic, trying to dive up the inside of Heiter de Lagnol. Oh, that was close. So nearly banging wheels, and on that corner, you do run out of radius very quickly in that curb. Fastest lap of the race, well, currently it's Al-Azhari. He's been able to pop in with a 1:56.9. That shows you how much slower the circuit is compared to yesterday. They were hitting 1:55s by this point yesterday. So having a much cooler circuit makes it a much trickier circuit to race on as Fiorentino dives up the inside of Alcifel Manetto. It's Brazil versus Brazil. So they work their way side by side and up into the next section. Here comes Enzo Tarnbanichkil, the Red Bull Junior, trying to work his way back into the fray. 2nd in the sprint race yesterday, already a race winner in EuroCup-3. Took his first win last year. But it is going to be very tricky down into the braking zone of these last few corners. Lammers is under increasing pressure from the high-tech duo of Santino Panetta and Gino Trapper. As meanwhile, another fastest first sector for Keanu Al-Azhari. Fastest lap of the entire race comes from James Egozzi. He's now put Keanu Al-Azhari back in his place, but only by a few hundredths of a second. There's nothing to choose between Egozzi, Al-Azhari and Alex Powell in terms of pace. Powell is looking good for the rookie win. You can see the different numbers aligned next on the left side of your screen. The numbers that are shaded in grey denote rookie drivers. Tarmanichkil making his bid now on Alcifel Manetto. Brazil versus Thailand, and MP versus Griffith Campos. Trying to find his way through on the inside line, trying to cut back and then make a switch for the inside line. Meanwhile, further back, that's a decent dive on the inside of Ryan Caretti. As once again, It's getting a little bit heated for Thomas Strauven, the Griffin course struggling. But he's managing to try and get himself back up the order once again. Back straight. Lammers really is under fire here. As again, Hosenroder trying to attack Chris Elfagali in the Drivex. Finally giving Drivex their first race victory yesterday after 3.5 seasons of trying. Al-Azhari's very close behind Igotzi, but then Eichmann's is very close behind Powell, so we've got decent battles going on around the circuit. For the win and for third place and for 5th position, Lammers looks like he's got 50 pence pieces on his car rather than tyres because he's sliding around all over the shop. But there's decent overtaking moves everywhere you look. Great wheel-to-wheel duels all the way down the field, up on the inside. That's Hosenroder finally getting his run on Elfagali. Patience is rewarded. The Dallara 326 really is delivering fantastic racing already in 2026. As out of the final turn, Al-Azhari puts Igotzi under pressure. A 156.5 was the fastest lap of the race. It's not anymore. Al-Azhari has just banged in a 156.0. Goodness me, he wants this win. 9 minutes on the clock. He's going to dive to the inside. Igotzi's going to hold his nerve and hold it to the inside line. Al-Azhari has never found it harder to get past anybody than he has with James Igotzi. He draws level. Is he going to be enough alongside to commit? There's nothing in it, and he's going to commit, but Igotzi's going to hold it round the outside. Al-Azhari keeps his car there, just about keeps within track limits and takes the lead. Igotzi's going to try and sneak it back. That's as clean a move as you're ever going to see. Keanu Al-Azhari fights and snatches the lead back. That's a great overtake. The important thing to take into note here is track limits, and as you can see for yourself, Al-Azhari stays within track limits all the way. You've got to keep 2 wheels on the circuit to make it work, and as you can see round the radius, he does indeed do that. He's always within track limits. Boom! That's how you take the lead against someone as aggressive as James Igotzi. Fantastic. Really great driving from both men. They gave each other space, they fought each other cleanly, and now we're going to get another great battle because Powell fancies his chances on his fellow Miami Maestro. Hosenroder now trying to get away from Alsu Feldman Neto there. Oh, sorry, that's Strauven battling away with Alsu Feldman. He's now got ahead of him. But they're struggling to keep up with Enzo Tarmanichkul, who is long gone. Behind them, they've got Coretti, Bostanjev, and then Bustamante and Rodriguez further up the road. That is the duel between Hosenroder and Elfagali for the final 2 points paying positions. Elfagali fancies his chances to get back up the order to 9th. And it's great to see that the racing is really winning out here. Ahead of them, we've got Trapper and Stucker dueling away for 7th place. Kasper Stucker in the Technicar fancying his chances. Don't forget, this isn't really an easy time for Technicar. They have not done many races as a team in EuroCup-3. They've been staples of the world of Spanish F4, but this is only the 5th race that Technicar by Amtog have ever raced in a EuroCup-3 in the main championship. Still seeking their first points, so this is going to be an important one for Kasper Stucker to get the job done, and a very significant milestone for them. So with Stucker in 8th position, looking really hot at the moment from Hosenroder and Elfagali. Decent points on the board coming the way of Technicar. 4 points on the board would certainly get the monkey off their back in only their 5th race as a team in EuroCup-3 in the main championship. So Al-Azhari versus Igotzi, the gap between them is now 9/10 of a second. At least it was at the last timing line. So Al-Azhari doing a grand job now that he's got back into the lead on James Igotzi. Has he looked after his tyres well enough to pull clear? Certainly Alex Powell fancies his chances of moving up as well. So Powell staying with Igotzi as up the inside. Oh, we're going to get racy. Kasper Stucker threatening to get his move on Gino Trapper. This is going to be for P7. Kasper Stucker, already a former race winner in EuroCup-3. He's got plenty of ability, has the young Pole. Twice a race winner, has been on pole position 3 times, 4 fastest laps over the years as well. So he knows how to be a strong driver at the front end of the field, but he's working closely with Technicar to move them forward, side by side with Trapper. He almost tried the Al-Azhari move, but clearly he must have figured out what happened to Al-Azhari the last time that worked, and he didn't want to go skipping over the curbs himself. Fascinating stuff. And a great duel going on here as Elfagali now hustles Hosenroder once again. So Patrick Hosenroder, the Australian, having to work his way back up from 15th on the grid. P9, not a bad return, considering that they had a 3-lap safety car period added to that as well. I'd say that's pretty good going. So it really is going to be fascinating. James Zagotzi just settling into second place here, but it's important that you don't just settle in. You've also got to look after the tyres here as well. You've got to make them go the distance, because if you look after your tyres for a couple of laps, there's a chance to get the lead back. Don't forget how James Zagotzi won the race yesterday. He followed René Lammers all the way and then made his move on the inside line. That's going to be another overtake from Filippo Fiorentino. He gets the run there on Bart Harrison. That puts him up into 15th place, past the Raikkonen-Robertson racing driver. The team founded, of course, at the tail end of the 2004 season, based in Woking. Founded by Kimi Räikkönen and his race manager, Steve Robertson. Fabulous to see the team still alive and kicking over 20 years later. Now, what are we going to see for the lead again? Looking at the times, Igozzi is catching Al-Azhari once again. The gap's come back down to 0.6 of a second. We need to go back to the lead battle when we get a chance, because I don't think Igozzi has given up on this win at all. Far from it. He's just done a 36.7 in the second split compared to Al-Azhari on a 37.1. There he is, catching back up to the high-tech. We're going to get another scrap for the victory. And we saw how good it was last time. Here comes Igozzi, right round the outside of Al-Azhari. Keanu's really got to lean on this on the inside radius. And he holds it, for now at least. James Igozzi fighting back around the left-hand radius. He's got to be careful. Can't take too many risks. He knows how tough Al-Azhari is going to make it. 1:56.0. Still the fastest lap of the race from Keanu Al-Azhari. But that was a couple of laps ago. That was on lap 9 he did that. We're now completing lap 12. And Al-Azhari has held on to it for the moment, but Igozzi is still right there, fighting him tooth and nail. 0.6 of a second between them. This is still doable, James. Don't give up yet. Alex Powell, meanwhile, just behind them, is leading the rookie charge. Eichmann's in 4th. Oh, run wide further back down the field. That is the duel going on quite a considerable way down the order. We've got Benjamin Beckley dueling away with Edward Borgna, and then across the line we've got Coretti, Feldman and Bostanjev. This will be very frustrating for the Bulgarian Stevan Bostanjev, a winner in the Spanish Winter Championship in reverse grid. And Feldman Neto dives in on the inside of Ryan Coretti. He may have been robbed of a podium yesterday with a car problem, as Ryan Coretti moves very easily aside to let Stevan Bostanjev go. I wonder if he's got a problem with his car, because Ryan Coretti was very feisty yesterday. That looked a little conservative to me. We're going to see what happened as he races with Alcif Feldman Neto. Was there contact? Oh, quite big contact. So I wonder if that's damaged Coretti's car beyond repair. Certainly beyond a race finish. We've still got this little duel going on between the Costa Rican Benjamin Beckley and the Frenchman Edouard Borgna. So Edouard Borgna, who has now been hustling in the last couple of seasons of French F4, finding his feet in EUROCUP-3. Al-Azhari, Igozzi, Powell, Eichmanns, Panetta. Panetta's got ahead of René Lammers. Lammers has got to fight this back round the outside, which he does. So the Flying Dutchman gets back into P5, but Panetta's going to try again. René Lammers holds it though. Nicely done. They've got to be so careful they don't slide wide onto the marbles. The drivers are used to calling it pickup from their karting days. And so they don't get out onto the outside line if they can help it. Gasper Stucker's going to try again on Gino Trappa. Igozzi's had a genuinely strong third sector, and we've got 2 laps to go here. So this is now or never for Igozzi. You don't have to lead every lap of the race. The only one that matters is the last one. But High-Tech are in their first EuroCup-3 full championship race. They want to win, but James Igozzi's got the confidence. He almost gets him round the outside into the first chicane, but Al-Azhari is there very strongly to hold him to his station. This is going to be a win that's decided on the last lap. Igozzi trying to keep Keanu Al-Azhari guessing. But the man from Dubai is no fool. He knows exactly how to defend in these positions as round the outside. Alcif Feldman Neto trying again to work his way back up the pack, going wheel to wheel with Stefan Bostanjev. Bostanjev's got him. Great racing everywhere you look. That's how amazing this Dallara 326 is. You can have fantastic racing wheel to wheel from the front to the back. Grazie tutti, Dallara. On the inside, Ryan Coretti tries again. Not going to happen. He has to back out of it. And that's going to give a chance to Bianca Bustamante. We're going to see another replay of the final turn. My goodness, Bostanjev Tried to go right round the outside and then turned it into a scene out of the Fast and the Furious, a proper drift. Right, here we go for the lead. 30 seconds on the clock. What has James Zigotzi got to go for Chiano Alazzari? He goes long. That's where Alazzari sends him. And again, Igotzi's trying to cut back for the inside radius. A little dab of the brake pedal from Alazzari just stops the car from drifting wide and shuts down Igotzi for another apex. Igotzi tries to get on the inside. No, you don't, says Chiano Alazzari. Slices back across. Fantastic dueling between two of the best drivers on the grid. Chiano Alazzari of Dubai and James Igotzi of Miami. He dearly wants to win on the weekend when his home city is hosting a Grand Prix. But now time has run down to 0 and we go straight in to the last lap of the weekend, the first weekend of the 2026 EUROCUP-3 Championship. Chiano Alazzari versus James Igotzi. Igotzi sizing up his moment. It's not going to come in the first chicane, but this is a long lap. There's plenty of opportunities coming. Igotzi still fights after Alazzari. Down to the chicane. Alazzari's got a bit of daylight. That could disappear on the Mistral straight, as Powell has well and truly checked out to a few car lengths over Ian Eichmann's. That's going to be enough to be comfortable. Lammers, Panetta, Trapper, Stucker, Elfagali and Hosenroder going to score points, if it stays like this at least. Alazzari's got to put out a qualifying lap as up the inside line. We've got a battle in the first chicane. That is Andre Rodriguez getting past Stylianos Kolovos. GRS versus Drivex again. But this time it's the American and the Greek. And they are a fair way now in front of Linus Lundqvist, who's had a very difficult weekend here. First time in a EuroCup-3 car. Obviously assisting the Double R team. Are we going to get civil war at High Tech? There's a good chance of it. One of you's got to back down. How did they avoid contact as Trapper gets ahead of Panetta? And now Kasper Stucker fancies his chances to get past both of them. Meanwhile, there goes the oxygen between Alazzari and Igotzi. We've got battles for P6, we've got battles for the lead. Here we go, Igotzi, right round the outside. It's now or never. Alazzari holds it again. But James Igotzi's not going to give up. Is it going to be a third ever win for Palou, or is it going to be a first ever win for High Tech? Final couple of corners, and Alazzari holds the radius, but Igotzi's going to have full aggression. No final race later to worry about picking up damage. You can take the risk, you can roll the dice. Alazzari stays in the middle of the road, perfect. He's got to cut across the radius on the exit to shut down Igotzi drawing level, and he's done it! Chiano Alazzari becomes the third different winner this weekend. We've got a title fight! Chiano Alazzari gives High Tech their first EuroCup-3 win in their first weekend in the championship. What a weekend. Check this out. Palou wins. Drivex wins. High Tech wins. Not a single MP or Campos takes the victory. That's the first time in EuroCup-3 history that's ever happened. What a start to the season, and what a drive from Chiano Alazzari and James Igotzi. Boy, did they give us a grandstand show. And it's a fabulous victory for the Pink Panther. Chiano Alazzari in the High Tech, victorious, and deservedly so. The first move didn't work. The second move was majestic. Absolutely wonderful. That is proper racing, guys. What a way to wake up on Sunday. Sadly, that's it for the EuroCup-3 on-track action, because we've got European Le Mans to come, but the EuroCup-3 boys will be back in action once again at Portimao in the Algarve on the first weekend of June. How difficult is it going to be to wait 4 more weeks for them to get back on track after the racing we've just seen? 5 more weeks, in fact. But what a start to the season. Chiano Alazzari once again showing his credentials as a title contender. James Igotzi likewise. But Igotzi, of course, puts 18 points on the board. Alex Powell takes the rookie victory in front of Eichmann's and Lammers in a disastrous race for MP. Griffin Corr salvages a podium, which is a fabulous victory in the rookie category, but it's also the Griffin Corr and Campos outfit's 68th podium finish in the championship's history. And how about this? Kasper Stucker puts Technicar in the points. P7 behind Lammers and Trapper. That's a big moment for the Technicar team. They've always been relatively competitive in F4, Now in EUROCUP-3, they've scored points. A great point score for High-Tech as well. Al-Azhari takes the win, Trapper P6, Panetta P8. And Hosenrode, a great driving fight for him from P15th on the grid to the final point behind El Fagali in the Drivex. What a race, and Al-Azhari celebrating in euphoric style as he has every reason to. Fabulous racing all the way through. Wonderful battle. And you're sitting there thinking, how come EuroCup-3 is so exciting? How is it such a brilliant motor race? Well, we've got to pat the guys at Dallara on the back for that. This new 326 racing car, modelled loosely on the Super Formula Lights car out in Japan. A proven race machine. Well, European single-seaters doesn't know what's hit it. This 326 is a beast. It is a real monster of a race car. And all of those years of engineering from Dallara, from Toms, from Engine 101, from Cosworth, and of course from these fantastic tyres from Hankook. All of those ingredients add up to give us an amazing race car on some fantastic circuits this year as well. It's not just about the first race of the season being at Paul Ricard. Look at the calendar. We've got, after this, Portimao, Imola, Monza, Silverstone, Hungaroring, and Catalunya. And on the second weekend of August, we still don't know where we're going yet, but we're told it's going to be pretty special. So what a fantastic opener to the season. 3 different winners from 3 different teams. James Igozzi for Below, Christopher El Fagali for Drivex, and now Keanu Al-Azhari becomes the 21st race winner in EuroCup-3 history, giving High-Tech their first win on their first weekend in the championship. Igozzi, Powell, who takes the rookie win, Eichmanns, Lauers and Trapper, Stucker gives Technicar their first points, Panetta, El Fagali, and a fighting comeback from Patrick Hosenroder in the top 10. Behind them, it is Andrei Petrovic in front of Heiter Delanyol and Rafael Parad. A magnificent drive from 30th to 13th. Fiorentino, Vizzarono and Thomas Strauven having a difficult day. So too did his teammate Enzo Tarvanichkul. Bart Harrison brings the double R home in 18th. Stefan Bostenjev is 19th in front of Ryan Caretti and Andre Rodriguez. Then Bustamante, Kolovos, Lundqvist, Feldman, Borgna and Beckley. Gianmarco Bradell sadly breaking down while second under the safety car. That's what it means to Keanu Al-Azhari. A big win and a big result for the pint-sized powerhouse. What a result and what a victory from Keanu Al-Azhari. The Spanish Winter Championship was a big moment. His first championship in a single-seater. It finally got the monkey off his back, having had so many near misses in the past. But what really matters to him this year is the main EuroCup-3 Championship. He wants the world to know that Alpine didn't sign him by accident. He wants the world to know that we are not going to have to wait too much longer for a driver from the United Arab Emirates to get into Formula One. And he is the man to carry the nation's flag permanently onto the driving grid. Certainly looking good at the moment. What a start to his EuroCup-3 campaign. And boy, have we got a championship fight in prospect. The duel this season between James Igozzi and Keanu Al-Azhari, who are firm friends off circuit, having been former teammates at the Tony Kart factory team in karting. They grew up together, almost like Hamilton and Rosberg, these two. But on track, they are going to be ruthless. A couple of Leviathans in junior single-seater, and we get to watch. Wow, we are spoiled. So let's head down to the paddock, where the 21st ever winner in EuroCup-3 in the main championship is with Alex Garcia. He's in conversation with Keanu Al-Azhari.
Keanu Al-Azhari, 21st different winner in EuroCup-3. I think the man with the biggest smile right now here in the paddock. Difficult day yesterday, much better today.
Yeah, I mean, what a result, you know. I'm so thankful to the team. It was really meant to be our weekend, but I let it slip away a little bit yesterday. But we saw so many positives. And I mean, I think that was such an incredible race. Me and James had so much respect for each other on track. And that was one of the best races I've had in a long time. But honestly, I was so relaxed the whole time, and I'm so happy to come away with a win. Fair play to everyone, and I think we all enjoyed the show.
Tell me, because it's not easy for a driver to fight someone else unless you have that level of confidence and trust in them. So how is it to fight someone that, you know each other very well, you know each other's weak points, strong points, but also you know that they're not going to do anything strange?
Yeah, I mean, I think nowadays we see so much racing, and I always love when racers have respect for each other. It's such a great thing, and it's a good show for everyone, not just the drivers. So yeah, it was a fantastic race. Racing has been great all this weekend, especially with the new Dallaras. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season, and I think we're gonna have some great battles in the future.
Best way to keep the momentum until next time out?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You only know your first and your last result. That's going to stay in the back of my head for a month now. But yeah, I'm so thankful to the team for their hard work to get everything ready, and yeah, come away with a win for them.
Keanu, time to enjoy and time to be back home finally.
Yeah, nice to be home too. Thank you.
Keanu Lazzari, the man of the moment, without a doubt. Look at that hug. Look at what it means for them to finally get this result after what was, frankly, very, very difficult day yesterday, Jake. They knew they could do it, and look at how mature Keanu is. He just said it himself. I let it slip a little bit yesterday. That is a sign of a driver who knows where they do things right, and he knows where he doesn't do them perfectly as well.
Wonderful scenes here with Keanu, with his father Kareem. Motor racing very much running in the blood. Kareem is still a very regular track day competitor back home in Dubai. He wins a lot of the track attack events that take place back in the UAE, having had a fantastic GT career. He's taken a back seat to that these days because, of course, he's now watching both Keanu and his other son, Adam, watching along on the sidelines. He's in the motorsport world as well, out in the UK. And, of course, their third son, Enzo, in full-time education, applying for business in the future. There's the Provisional Drivers' Championship. 13 points is the lead that James Agozzi has over Keanu Lazzari, with a whole squadron of great racers behind them. Powell, Eichmann, Stammers, Pradell, El Fagali, Tarnvinichkul, Delaniol and Rafael Parade in the top 10 of the championship, moving to the second weekend in Portimao in Portugal, 5 weeks from now. And how about that? You've got some nice pictures down in the pits. That's El Fagali. Chris El Fagali having a great picture with his fellow Gulf-based racing driver, Keanu Lazzari. They've grown up together, of course, in the karting circuits around the Middle East. So wonderful to see that. They've got a great friendship that goes a long, long way back. The other point scorers, Gino Trapper, Kasper Stucker, Santino Panetta, Thomas Straven, and Filippo Fiorentino and Patrick Hosenroder a point apiece. Some big names that haven't scored points yet. Feldman nearly had a podium yesterday on his birthday, but a mechanical problem dropped him out. Stefan Bostanjev yet to score. Petrovic, still new to EuroCup-3, hasn't scored yet. Coretti is almost bound to, the way he was putting on a show yesterday. We're watching the highlights again on your screens, but what a sensational start to the season in EuroCup-3. Get this for a statistic. We have had 53 races across the last 3.5 seasons. This has been the first weekend in the championship's history that neither an MP driver or a Campos driver has won a race all weekend. That is a stat. It shows you just how competitive EuroCup-3 is going to be in 2026. What about that, Alex? Absolutely incredible, isn't it?
I was going to say that is definitely a stat, and it shows that the life is changing here in EuroCup-3. And come on, let's talk about life changing, James. I catch you here without warning you. We were just talking to Jake right now, and for the first time ever in EuroCup-3, in the whole weekend, we haven't seen a win by MP Motorsport or Campos Racing. You guys are up there, DriveX is up there, Hitech is up there. Things are changing.
Times are changing.
Yeah. And what's going to happen next time out?
Well, I don't know. We're going to Portimao. The winners in Portimao were me and Keanu. So Hello and Hitech. So let's see. The MPs are up there. I mean, it's not. There's no shortage of them. Just me and Keanu are doing a good job. Our race pace is really nice, and we're having a lot of fun.
You've been in all places of the podium this weekend. Race 1 with that win, later P3, now P2. Happy with the weekend?
Yeah, overall it's a good weekend. Yeah, I mean, I was a bit safe in this race because Keanu had some mistakes yesterday, so he wasn't the focus. The focus right now was just to score good points and stay ahead of the Campos and MPs. So I think I accomplished that, and I'm happy with everything. Nice triple podium.
I like that you call it safe, considering the battle that we saw with Keanu.
It was a respectful battle. He's a good driver. He knows how to race cleanly, no contact ever, and it was a respectable battle.
You guys know each other very well as well. That helps.
Yeah, we were teammates in Tony Kart for a few years, so we've known each other for a while. So it's nice to be fighting at the front with him.
Will we see whole year battle between you two? You think? I think so, but do you?
Yeah, it's not over. We're going to be seeing each other a lot. He's really quick, I'm really quick, so we're finding each other in the front quite often now. So I think it's just a continuation from the Winter Series.
All right, James.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you can see, Jake, that the conclusion is very simple to reach, and I think that's what we're going to see for the rest of the year. We have two very, very strong drivers who know each other very well, who have been teammates, who have been rivals on track, and who I think we're going to see many more battles like we saw today for the rest of the year.
The parallel between Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg's rivalry and friendship is very relevant to the battle that we are currently seeing out on circuit between James Zagotsi and Chiara Malazzari. They grew up together in the same team as teammates in karting. They had a very similar pathway through. They've grown up in the same era of the sport. Now they're racing each other wheel to wheel in the junior categories the same way that Hamilton and Rosberg did before they got to Formula One. This could be a very similar story working their way to Formula One. Imagine in a few years' time we could well be seeing these stars of Eurocup 3, James Zagotsi and Chiara Malazzari, racing wheel to wheel against each other in Formula One. There's a very decent chance of that. The man from Miami certainly putting on the show, and a lot of headlines will be talked about him this weekend. 3 podiums out of 3 in this weekend where the Miami Grand Prix is taking place. James Zagotsi getting very close and personal with the cameras. He's in a very good mood. And how about the man who took the rookie victory? Another man from Miami, Alex Powell, getting the rookie win in front of Ian Eichmans and René Lammers. That's a big moment for him too. He comes away with 2 trophies from this one race. Having only just recently been dropped from the Mercedes AMG program, he's still showing the world what he's capable of and what he can do. He's determined that that's just going to be a blip on his motorsport journey. It's not going to be something that defines him. Great racing between Alex Powell and Ian Eichmans. They go back a long way as well, don't forget. So always fascinating to see those two having another great battle out on the circuit. But yeah, this rivalry between Zagotsi and Malazzari, what I loved about the way James and Keanu both described it, look, they're in decent conversation with each other. They've just swapped paint very nearly out on the circuit. But the thing that James made a point of there is, you know you're going to get a clean race with Keanu. We're never going to make contact. We're just going to be respectful of each other. We're going to share the racetrack. We're going to lean on everything. We're not going to leave anything to chance, but we're going to have a great battle. That's what this sport is supposed to be about. You don't take chances with each other. You don't play stupid games. You go for racing and you do it properly. You leave each other space and you let the natural flow of the sport take its course. This is a full credit to both James Zagotsi and Chiara Malazzari. They have been raised the right way, their heads are in the right place, and they're racing the way motorsport should be done, Alex. This is exactly what we want from them.
Exactly, Jake. That's what we would like to see from motorsport. We have so many strong drivers in this category, so I think this is just the enjoyment that we're going to be seeing for the rest of the year. And this is not just about what happens on track, it's about all that respect, because that respect at the end of the day translates in fantastic battles. We don't see strange things going on, we don't see, let's say, dirty or borderline dirty moves. We just see two friends enjoying racing, and this is what it's all about, really.
And this is only the first weekend of 2026, and this is the kind of battling we're going to get from the drivers over the course of this season. My goodness, there's going to be a lot of great battles to come. We've got so many great Formula One circuits on the calendar. We've got a very busy schedule and so many great chances to see what these drivers can do. Portimao, Hungaroring, Monza, Imola, Catalunya, Silverstone. Boy, are these guys getting spoiled in 2026. A really exciting season ahead of us. I have a feeling a lot of the drivers behind Zagotsi and Malazzari are still going to show us some great form too. Don't forget that there's been some hiccups for a lot of drivers in the field. Expect some big showing, I think, Alex, from Eichmans, from Lammers, from Pradelle, from Tanva Nitschkul, from Powell, from Alfa Gali. We haven't really seen the best of Thomas Strauven yet, I don't think. And Kasper Stucker is really vaulting the Technicar team forward as well. This season can have a lot of changes over the year. I
know I often repeat myself with this, but when you look at the grid, you just have I would say almost a dozen drivers who could be winning races given the right circumstances. So it's just so exciting. You know, you were mentioning all of these drivers. Of course, we have to think about Alex Powell. Alex Powell is going to eventually take that win as well. Some of the teams that are a bit further behind, they have closed the distance. And you know, we have all the right ingredients for a fantastic meal. So I think we'll be well fed for the rest of the season, Jake, that's for sure.
We're definitely going to get all of the best hors d'oeuvres, all of the best main courses, and some pretty sweet desserts over this season. Wonderful that we've just had a fantastic race of over half an hour, squabbling with each other wheel to wheel. And look at the friendship, look at the respect between these drivers. I mean, they could teach a few of the guys in F1, NASCAR, IndyCar, even Le Mans a thing or two about how to get it done. Of course, it's still very low pressure this early part of the season. Everybody's still enjoying getting used to this new car. And just how lucky are these boys? You know, they've all grown up together in the karting world where it was a hobby they wanted to turn into a career. And now here they are on the pathway to Indianapolis, to Monaco, to Le Mans. This is a big, big chance for them, and they are going to want to take every single second of this moment to savour it. So a very early finish to the weekend here at Paul Ricard for EuroCup-3. That's all because of the big race that's coming up later today for European Le Mans. I urge you to watch that if you're a EuroCup-3 fan, because our first ever champion, Esteban Masson, will be taking to the circuit later to showcase what the talents he learned from EuroCup-3 have produced as a sports car driver. But how about this? A momentous podium this weekend, 3 races and 3 different teams taking the win, none of which were either MP or Campos. Palou, Drivex and Hitech getting the victories. Alex Powell getting 3rd position to give something back to the Griffin Core squad. Griffin Core, the rebadged version of Campos this year. Griffin Core doing a lot of great work behind the scenes to help the team and to help young drivers work their way forward. This isn't just a EuroCup-3 program for Griffin Core. They're going to create a pathway all the way down the ladder. Great to see Palou Motorsport really hitting their stride. They've been here since the start of EuroCup-3 as well in 2023, but it's only really since James Igozzi came on board. He's their secret weapon, and now they're prolifically at the front. But Hitech wins in their first weekend. Chiara Malazari, the Spanish winner champion, goes to the top step of the podium, and we get to hear the national anthem of the United Arab Emirates. Get used to this. It could be common in 2026. There may be all sorts of things going on in the world right now, but all it takes is sport to give these fantastic nations around the world their joy back again. And it's so wonderful to see Chiara Malazari on the top step of the podium. Like so many of these men, in fact all 3 of these men, I've known Keanu as well as I've known James and Alex for so many years now, watching them grow from kids into professional athletes. And they are doing such a great job to represent their nations. So the trophy for Alex Powell. Miami Heat back on the podium again. The Jamaican sensation, we used to call him in karting. He is the cousin of Asafa Powell. James Igozzi, the other man from Miami, on the podium. He has a 1st, a 2nd and a 3rd now on the Grand Prix weekend for his home city, Miami. But on the top step of the podium, the champion of the Spanish Winter Championship, sowing the seeds of what could be a championship run in EuroCup-3. He stalled from pole position yesterday. He held his hand up and said, "That was my mistake. I'll make up for it." Boy, was he right. And what a season it is going to be for Hitech, Palou and Drivex to take their wins in 2026 to keep MP and Campos off the top step of the podium for the first time in EuroCup-3 history. All weekend, it's the contenders that have knocked the establishment off the top of the podium. Amazing scenes here in EuroCup-3. And now it's time for Keanu, James and Alex to get busy with a fizzy. Hitech soaking the spoils, their first weekend in the championship proper. The Spanish Winter Championship, of course, they got the ground running. But the main season, that's what everybody's caring about in 2026. And Hitech deliver on that incredible promise they've always given us. 3 different teams taking the win. The championship, Alex, is well and truly game on.
Absolutely, Jake. And I was looking at the standings and I was thinking, considering how things went yesterday, 13 points between the top 2 is really not that much. I know it's just the first round of the championship, so it makes sense that the difference is not that big, but they could have been so much bigger. So, this just means that we're on for the next one. And I think this is just going to be the regular story. It's going to be a bit like a grandfather clock, just swinging from one side to the other. Let's see who takes the spoils at the end.
That is so true. 13 points is literally only the difference between first and second twice. So that's a very even battle after the first weekend. Imagine what things would have been like if Keanu Malazari had got a decent start yesterday. That could have been a very different championship outlook. But it certainly shows, doesn't it? The rivalry between James Zagotzi and Keanu Malazari could be all season long. For the likes of René Lammers, Alex Powell, Ian Eichmans, it could just be trying to keep up with them that they're going to have to worry about in 2026.
And I think that's also going to be one of the stories of the year, because yes, we have seen some of the drivers who are clearly, let's say, half a step ahead from what we've seen in the Spanish Winter Championship or what we've seen this weekend here. But seasons along, some of the drivers are rookies, and we know that the rookies have this uncanny ability of improving in the space of the span of 2-3 weekends. So maybe there's some drivers who are not here yet. You were mentioning before Thomas Strauben. He could very well be a factor in the next few weekends. So this is something that we have to keep an eye on. If not necessarily championship contenders, they might be an important factor to keep in mind for that fight. Anyone who can join a fight for the win in any given race can be someone to keep in mind for the end of the season. So again, many drivers to keep in mind, many stories to tell, and I think we're going to have our hands full with them.
We certainly are. Thank you, Alex Garcia. Here we have the rookie podium, and this does look like a traditional EuroCup-3 podium, albeit it's the rookie podium. 2 MP drivers, René Lammers in third, Ian Eichmans in second, and the Griffin Core Campos man on the top of the podium is the other man from Miami, Alex Powell. So MP and Campos certainly know how to lock out the rookie podium, but in 2026 the writing is on the wall. James Zagotzi said it best, times are changing. Palou and Hitech have caught up to the boys from MP and Griffin Core by Campos. 2026 is going to be very different. A massive thanks to Dallara for their 326, from Energizer 101, from Toms, from Cosworth, from Hankook and all the rest of them to give us this incredible car for this incredible championship. We're going to get ourselves ready for the next encounter 5 weeks from now at Portimao in Portugal. But for myself, Jake Sanson, from my colleague Alex Garcia, from everybody here at the championship and the Kelite, we can't wait to see you for more great action at Portimao when the championship battle for EuroCup-3 2026 continues.
che vemos aquí en el circuit Paul Ricard. Y buena continuación a todos ici sur le Paul Ricard. Mon cher Anthony, je ne sais pas où vous êtes actuellement. Il semblerait que l'émotion, en tout cas sur l'Eurocup-3, est extraordinaire. On va maintenant pouvoir poursuivre comme il se doit ici sur cette vidéo. Je vais venir vous retrouver si vous avez quelques informations à communiquer. Voilà.